Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It is episode 128. My name is Matt Craig, but I am joined with two of my favorite people in the entire world, heck, even the universe.
That's not true.
Well, to my right is Steve Murray,
Nice.
and that sarcastic comment that you heard was made by Mr. John Tracy. Gentlemen, how are you both doing? Hope as you both take big sips, John of his alcoholic beverage, Steve of his non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, that's
right.
This
That's
is not
right.
allowed. I won't let it.
I have to admit, today I am in a much better mood, considering that the Comcast entertainment entity down there finally listened to the fans and got rid of that, boring ass guy that was actually running that, entertainment entity down there. The air is, it's sweeter. The lights are brighter now, and maybe there'll be a future for the orange and black now. Actually, I'm pretty pleased with the whole, with the whole change in that regard. John, what do you think, man? I mean, happy?
Yeah. I was telling Steve before we came on. I'm gonna sit on Twitter side this time because I agree with Twitter more than I agree with the Flyers. Twitter, once the news came out, of course, millions of tweets. They're pissed that it happened after the trade deadline instead of before the trade deadline. That's where I'm sitting. I understand it doesn't mean anything, but I agree with Twitter on this one. You could have fired him. You could have fired him 6 months ago. So.
Yeah. Morgani said it should have been happening around the holidays.
I agree.
I mean, I agree with that, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's the holidays. How do you not? You do it before then.
Only good employees deserve holidays. Bad employees don't deserve holidays. You're gonna mess it up for the entire company all year, and then we're gonna hang out with you at the Christmas party. No, dude, you got to sit outside.
Sit over here.
You can't hang out with the good employees.
You're not even going to take part of the Secret Santa. Forget it. You're done. You're out of here.
That way.
Love it. I had to also ask Steve, of course, do you feel like a sense of, the weight has been lifted, all that kind of stuff now?
I'm wearing a Flyers jersey, aren't I?
Yeah, Flyers hoodie over here. Yeah.
It's a you got the memo, John, not so much.
Yeah, I do not own. Just so everybody knows, I do talk a lot of shit on the Flyers. I do not actually own anything Flyers. So I don't even think I own that color orange.
Well, now that Chuck Fletcher's been fired, you are free to spend.
I may purchase something.
It's okay to do it, Johnny. It is okay. I know you had a Danny Briere jersey that you thoughtlessly and needlessly gave away.
Years ago. I gave it to a kid that wanted it.
A kid that wanted it, yeah.
A kid that really liked Danny Briere more than me.
Well, and speaking of Danny Briere, he's our new interim GM.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to have a whole lot to do between now and the end of the season. So
just got to close
placeholder, but
just got to close out the year and make sure everybody shows up and gets paid, pretty much.
Right. Shake their hands, walk out the door. Yeah, thanks for the year, guys. We'll see you next year. That kind of a deal, and we'll see what happens.
I hope he ends up having the interim tag removed and gets the job.
Yeah.
He's a smart dude, so why not? Why you had him there for a reason? Obviously, you trusted him. Kind of sitting in on that stuff. Maybe pulling the tag and seeing what he could do for a couple of years. He's a former player, and I'm really happy. I like that in the general manager in hockey. I like the former player being the general manager.
One of the things that I
get it.
Yeah, one of the things that I've liked about him so much is, I think you're right, Johnny. I would tend to agree. I think he's a player's executive, essentially. And, former player, obviously, one of the all-time greats for the Flyers as well. Who knows? Sky's the limit, I think, for him. And, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that would really want to come in here and take on the challenge of doing it. I mean, and he's got some cachet, I would think.
He does, but there are still stupid people who complain because he's a former Flyer, and you can't have a former Flyer coming in and you're going to ruin it all, because they don't look at Bob Clark and Paul Holmgren, they really screwed up. And I'm like, first of all, Homer turned around the worst Flyers team in history to
Agreed.
make the Eastern Conference Finals the next year.
Yeah.
People forget that.
Yeah.
Secondly, we just had a guy who came from outside the organization, and look how that went. Okay,
And
so
that didn't work out. Yeah.
exactly, inside outside the organization should not be a driving factor
Yeah.
in who gets hired as GM.
Well,
Third
yeah.
of all, Danny Briere is very smart. He went back to school. He went to Wharton. He's been involved. And look, the Montreal Canadiens a year ago were courting him to be their GM, and he was like a finalist for that job.
Yes.
And the Flyers decided, oh crap, we need to hold on to him. So they promoted him to whatever his title was before.
I think it was
interim
executive
GM.
or something like that. Yeah.
Special assistant to the GM or something,
GM or
whatever.
whatever.
They gave him that appointment so they could retain him because they did not want him to leave to go to the Montreal Canadiens GM job. So,
well, there you go.
There's obviously people who want him who are outside of the organization, and that should tell you something too. Unlike people who didn't want any of our players off our roster at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Johnny, you were going to say something, I think?
There's a huge NHL precedent for bringing former players back. Sakic, Yzerman.
Yeah.
You go across, I can't even think about, I know there's like 35 of them over the last 30 years. Scotty Bowman was a coach turned general manager, I think, of Montreal. When they just moved him up because, hey, you're good at stuff. That's what they need. They need someone that is good at this, because Chuck Fletcher is not good at this.
No.
He's a general manager, but he is a general manager of already made franchises, or he's brought in to finish the job. He never rebuilt anything. You need someone that it's either Danny Briere, because he's never done it, and why not rebuild with someone that's never done it, because that clearly is actually a good thing, because you don't have old habits. Or you go out and find someone that is like a Ken Hitchcock back in the day, someone that can rebuild slop. Like, hey, can you make something out of this garbage I have? Sure, I'll be gone in 3 years, but I could get you to this point. You need two things. So why not Danny Briere? Because we don't know what he could do. Why not find out? It's not like we're not on the cusp of the Stanley Cup at this point. We might as well kick the tires.
Might as well build something.
New.
Yep, might as well build something. That's for sure. Yeah, so we'll see. But the future is now finally starting to. We're out of the tunnel. It's starting to be a little bit brighter around here, which is great. We weren't in the throes of despair. Thank God.
There's still going to be a little pain, but
I'm sure.
But we'll get out of it. We'll definitely get. I mean, it's definitely looking bright. Hey, look, there's some light at the end of the tunnel over there. So that's where we're at right now. So that's good. Before we get started though with topic one, of course we have our fun fact and over 40 rant, brought to us by W Energy Drinks. Go to w.gg, and again, if you place an order with that company, you can add in the promo code Too Noobs Talking, TOO Noobs Talking, to get 10% off your order at checkout. So again, w.gg, place your order today, and thank Too Noobs. Again, thank Too Noobs for giving 10% off your order. Come on now, let's go.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Johnny, you have our fun fact. What do you got for us, bud?
So, in my moves to get a fun fact, I found something. I'm happy about this. So, the Speaker of the House in England does not actually speak.
Really?
Their job.
So he's a mute. He's a mute Speaker of the House.
That's what it would. Yeah, that's what it seems like. But when you do a little bit more research into it, his actual job, he or she's actual job, is to mediate disputes, and that's what the Speaker of the House in England does. Is he sits over and listens to the arguments and makes a ruling on the arguments. The only thing he's not allowed to do is have an opinion. Like, he doesn't have an opinion on the thing. He has to take in the arguments and make what's best for the country. Which I
Fascinating.
mean, I mean, having something like Speaker of the House, you would think it's a shit show like the United States. Seems like England's got it figured out.
There
Well,
is no way you could operate that job without an
No,
opinion. Come
yeah, of course not.
well, you're
Yeah,
not allowed.
yeah.
You have an opinion. You're just not allowed to state it during the. It's like any mediator. They're not allowed to.
I
I'm
was
sure
just
they're
gonna say,
like,
yeah.
this dude's a douchebag and this dude's totally right, but he's got to come to a conclusion. I'm sure he's allowed to have the thoughts. He's just not allowed to say them out loud.
That's funny. That is absolutely hilarious. The mute Speaker of the House, but it's almost it's to mediate the disputes within the
Yes.
House. That's fascinating. Fascinating. Every time I think of England, it's like, wow, they're so civilized over there. Ha. But then, Johnny, we have a very, very special guest for an over 40 rant. We looked hard, far and wide for this special guest. And I just want you to know this guy is not only very special, he came up out of the grave to deliver his over 40 rant. Of course, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho, what do you have for us, brother?
Yeah, well, today we're gonna talk about an English lesson because I think some people out there need to know their grammar. Yeah. Allow me to put on my teaching cap.
Nice.
It fits my fat head. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
It's
okay,
giving
let's get
encouragement to your
started.
brother.
So first, what's a synonym for I don't care? A couple of you lunkheads think it's you could care less. Yeah, one of you stated this during pre-production. Not gonna name names, Mr. Tracy, yeah. But one of you said this. To mean I don't care. Is that correct? No! Are you stupid? Yeah! Yeah, alright. What you meant to say was you couldn't care less. Because
There
if
you
you
go.
could care less, that means you can. Your care could go lower. And lower and lower. Just like your career as a Speaker of the House. Yeah. So that's Macho approved. Yeah. Moving on, how about when you want to fill in the details? Some people say that we want to flush it out. Yeah. Is that right? No, you're stupid. Yeah. No, we want to flesh it out. Flesh of my flesh, the Macho Man. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's Macho approved right there. And then the last one. Essentially, you probably have said this, Mr. Mashed Potato, for all intensive purposes. You say this, you're going to be in the intensive care unit, yeah. Because it's really intense and purposes. That's English lessons for you. There you go. Ooh, yeah.
This English lesson brought to you by the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Those pants in
Snap
that
into a Slim
photo
Jim, baby.
are tight. He was poking
Those are
extra
jeans,
holes.
man.
He was poking extra holes in that belt just so he could get that tight. Jeez,
He
Macho.
probably was. Yeah, he probably was. All right. Well, with that English lesson out of the way, gentlemen, let's dive into our first topic. And hey, speaking of the Macho Man Randy Savage, let's talk a little WWE, specifically this CNBC article that came out earlier this week, where headline WWE in talks with state gambling regulators to legalize betting on scripted match results. Beg pardon? What the heck's going on here? WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, is in talks with state gambling regulators to legalize betting on high-profile matches, according to people familiar with the matter. WWE is working with the accounting firm Ernst & Young to secure scripted match results in hopes it will convince regulators there's no chance of results leaking to the public, who said the people who asked not to be named because the discussions are currently private. And of course, it's famously known that PricewaterhouseCoopers, along with Ernst & Young, have historically worked with award shows, including the Academy Awards and the Emmys, to keep the results a secret. You see that happening all throughout their presentation, that basically, I think one of their accounting associates or whatever presents the envelope, sealed, and then it's opened on stage. Goes on to say here in the article, betting on the Academy Awards is already legal and available through some sports betting applications, including FanDuel and DraftKings. Most states, though, don't allow it. WWE executives have cited the Oscars betting as a template to convince regulators gambling on scripted matches is safe. Still, while Academy Awards voting results are known by a select few, before they're announced publicly, they aren't scripted. And of course, everybody's declined to comment. They couldn't be reached. Ernst & Young couldn't be reached for comment either. Of course, we have a resident WWE fan of Two Noobs Talking. That is
Not
one
really.
Mr. John Stracy. Well, kind of, sort of. I think all three of us are probably closet fans more than anything else.
Of the old days.
Of the old days, yes,
do.
exactly.
I do watch. I don't.
But Johnny, thoughts? What do you got, man? What do you have?
It's not my world, but I do watch. I do enjoy. I've always enjoyed pro wrestling. So it's the reason nobody is talking is because it's a terrible idea. It's twofold here. It's a terrible idea because there's no way they're going to keep it. I don't care who you hire. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that work for them that don't work for them every day, that only work for them in the cities, or they're hired for 6 weeks to do WrestleMania that are around the boys, the girls, the business. I have 2 friends that work in production for only WrestleManias, and they laugh all the time about they know the card back to front. Like by the time they're done in 6 weeks, there's no way you can. It's so big.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
And 2, if you're a wrestling fan, it takes away everything wrestling is. Because wrestling's all about the surprise or the swerve or the change at the last minute. It happens all the time. They change who's going to win when they're in the gorilla position. And it's like, you know what? That was the Undertaker Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. That thing was changed at the end of the day. What are they going to do? Go to the vault and only those 3 people are going to know? Come on. Like, you can't make it. It just doesn't work that way. Like,
yeah.
It's
crazy.
Sometimes the circus just needs to shut up and be the circus, and that's what I feel the WWE needs to do. Like, you're the WWE. We get it. You're not mainstream sports. Nobody cares about it like mainstream sports are, but you probably make as much money as they do because you're the circus. Just be the circus and be happy with it. Because I'm happy with you being the circus. I don't need anything to change. Just keep doing what you do.
You don't need to put a bet on whether or not someone gets over somebody in a ring. Yeah, you're just there, I guess, to just have a lot of fun, right? At the end of the day, and just watch something that.
That's all wrestling is. If you're not having fun watching wrestling, there's no point for you to watch wrestling. It's not supposed to be, oh, I didn't like that Cody Rhodes didn't win over Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I'm mad. Was it a good match? Was it a bad match? Was it terrible? Is the storyline worth it? Look at Sami Zayn. The storyline that Sami Zayn has put out. If you're not having fun watching this wonderful story of a person that didn't have a family and didn't have a faction, and he was looking to be wanted by someone, and he was brought in by this group, and turns out that their leader's an asshole, and he didn't want to be a part of it, and he breaks away from this family that he was so needingly or so wanted and needed at the beginning of his journey. If you don't like that, there's absolutely no point to watch wrestling. Because gambling on it, what are you going to do? Gamble? Oh, I think Sami Zayn's going to beat Roman Reigns in Montreal. You have no chance of that. There's no reason to even bet that. The safe bet would only be that Roman Reigns is not going to lose the title before WrestleMania.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, it does. I mean, I think probably the biggest issue with this too is not only you have things like the dirt sheets that float around and in that kind of regard, but not only that, but the proliferation of social media. Thank you for correcting me.
English lessons, boys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Proliferation. How about that? You have that in social media, but also these channels, they pop up everywhere, and everybody's got an opinion on what they would want that particular booking style to go through. And if it doesn't go in that regard, oh God, I don't want to watch wrestling anymore. I get that point completely, Johnny. I think that turns off a lot of people. And I think when you have something like that happen, to the casual fan, you're kind of like, I just want to watch two people go at it, and have fun.
I just want to watch
and
the
just sit
story
back.
be told. It's the same thing with sitcom TV. Do you sit there and watch your regular whatever program you guys watch, where it's season 5 of whatever the show is, and episode 5,
or whatever,
and you're like, I really don't like where this character's going. Like, no, we're watching to see where this character's going.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way
just
at least I look
go
at
for the
it.
ride.
Yeah, I'm looking. I want the director and the writer are telling me a story. It's like when so WWE fans, act like you're 3 years old and it's story time, and you're in kindergarten and you're sitting around and your teacher is reading you the story. Shut up and listen to the story. That's how we learned these stories when we were younger. That's what you need to do. That's why this is created for us, to entertain us, not for us to be narcissistic and stupid.
Story time by Johnny Tracy, baby. There you go. But Steve, I mean, you were big wrestling. Well, I wouldn't say you were a big wrestling fan right back in the day. Like you're like more in the 80s, early 90s WWE. So you haven't watched
Early
it.
90s.
Yeah, so you haven't watched it since, right? I mean, but what do you think about all of this? Interesting in that regard that they were trying to think or convince regulators that, oh, okay, yeah, we'll allow gambling to happen on certain matches. I mean, can you imagine the Macho Man having that? I mean, what do you think in that regard?
This, by the way, I have no idea what the hell John was talking about, just so you know.
Okay, good.
Love it.
Sami Zayn, I have no idea who that is. The thing that struck me about this article was, and John sort of got into it a little bit, but you're comparing yourself to the Oscars. Okay? Nobody knows who's going to win the Oscar until they announce it,
open the
except for
envelope.
a few select people to the envelope that's opened publicly on stage.
Yes.
Right? So the only people who know what's in there are the people who tabulated the votes and typed out the winner's name on the thing and stuck it in the envelope and sealed it.
Yep. And to be honest, you can keep that down to a very minimal. You don't need.
Absolutely.
You don't need 11 people to do that. That can be.
And don't think for a second that those folks that are like filling out that particular envelope are sworn. Do not post this on social media of any kind.
Oh, sure.
Until it's released. So it's in their contract. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure. But now you have, so we're going to script out a wrestling match. Months in advance is what the article said. Okay, that's a little interesting. Suppose somebody gets hurt in the interim, Suppose you decide somebody's not getting over the way you want them to, so you decide maybe he should lose the match instead of win it.
Yeah.
And then here's the part where they really start to diverge from the Oscars, which is the wrestlers have to know in advance who's going to win. Yes.
I would hope.
Because they don't wrestle and then at the end open up an envelope and go, oh, Undertaker wins. Okay, yay, hold up his hand and we'll go off into the sun.
If it's the WCW in the year 2000, who knows what's going to happen in that regard.
So what you're saying is the referee needs to scream it out at the very end, and then they go to that finish. They plan 2 finishes. So
let's
go back a long time ago to one of the ladder matches. Steve will know who we're talking about. The Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian. So when Edge is on the ladder to dive off to do one of the most iconic things in wrestling that wasn't scripted, it was just an idea until it actually happened. What are you gonna do? Have someone go, stop, Edge, what's gonna happen is he's gonna reverse that. Drive your head in the mat after you jump 20 feet, and then he's gonna pin you. We can't let anybody know about this. Like, it's ridiculous.
How about a referee going 1, 2? Oh no, you got to kick out of this.
Oh yeah, that's true. Kick out. Well, if you watch Ronda Rousey, that happens all the time. So maybe that's what they're stuck on.
Isn't that a Nick Patrick count, Johnny? You
have the wrestlers have to know. Yeah. The wrestlers have to know what the ending.
The referee has to know.
The referee has to know in advance what the ending is going to be.
The
I'm sure there are other people who are involved. Probably. No. I'm sure there are scenarios where you could keep the ring announcer or the announcers on TV in the dark.
They do that to the commentators now. So you're right. Like they can keep it away from the commentators. They could probably keep it away from the ring announcer. But what about the graphics guy that has to put up the logo instantaneously at the 3 count? Like 1, 2, boom, Brock Lesnar's thing's up there or whomever.
WWE champion or whatever.
And music. Music doesn't delay.
There are people who need to know ahead of time what the result is going to be. Yeah. And the instant that happens, you have the possibility for monkey business, right? Because they could decide, if I'm unscrupulous as a wrestler and I know I'm supposed to win the match, but I see that everybody's betting on me to win. So the odds are shifted so that if you bet against myself, I could win a shitload of money.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to throw the match, right?
Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
And I'm sure matches all the time, not intentionally, but somebody gets hurt during the match. Okay, now the ending is going to have to change. Maybe somebody's got to lose instead of win because you can't finish the match because you dislocated an arm or something.
Yeah,
this is not the kind of stuff that happens at the Oscars. No. Okay, somebody doesn't trip running up the stairs with the envelope. The envelope spills open, and then you rewrite the name on it. Right, exactly.
There's a great story. I'll try to keep it extremely short. So when Cody Rhodes left WWE originally, he did a bunch of interviews, and he told the story of, and I'll try to keep it really quick, of the worst match ever. It was like a 6-man tag on SmackDown. It was like a 2-segment match. It was like 10 minutes long. And what happened was there's this one dude was supposed to get the hot tag at the end, and he was going to knock everybody around, and he was going to get the win. He was going to be the grand champion. And that didn't happen. It had to do with like Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes, and a bunch of other people that people don't know. But what happened is one dude fell on top of the other dude, and it was supposed to be a kick out, and the one dude forgot to kick out, and the match was 2 minutes and 11 seconds, and they're all standing around as veterans, confused, because they're like, what just happened here? Like, that does happen. So, and it's funny to them because there isn't anything. Could you imagine if that happened and federal regulators would be incensed?
Well,
like that wasn't what it's supposed to say on there.
If the minute you deviate from what was on the piece of paper stuck in a vault somewhere, how can you prove that it wasn't changed for bad reasons?
Yeah,
right?
that's
the piece of paper. The piece of paper said Bret Hart was supposed to beat Shawn Michaels, right? And I'm using old names because I have no idea.
97 Survivor Series,
The piece of paper said Bret Michaels. Bret Hart was supposed to beat Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels wins the match for whatever reason, because they decided to screw Bret, because Bret Hart got hurt, because the referee screwed up, because Vince McMahon yelled, ring the bell. Who knows why? Now you've got to prove, because your story was based on, well, it's scripted, the script is kept secret, etc. Now you've got to prove that what happened that was unscripted was not done to screw over people who were placing bets or
Yeah.
to win an
Yeah.
unlawful bet. You got all kinds of problems.
Kinds of issues. No doubt. No doubt about that. Yeah. Hey, Steve. Steve. What's going on, man?
He was snapping into a Slim Jim.
He is slapping into a Slim Jim. That's right. Topic 2, gentlemen, as we roll on, we got an interesting article here from, and I love this website address, awfulannouncing.com, which I think now is going to be one of my favorite ones going forward because they always rip on sports announcers. It's hilarious. It's great. This one, though, we love the Chuck Wagon. We love Charles Barkley on Two Noobs Talking, right? I mean, we absolutely adore this man. If you've been living under a rock, it's probably better to be under the rock, to be perfectly honest. But Kendrick Perkins, long story short, made a complete fool of himself on ESPN, which is no surprise.
Well, it's actually a shame because I usually like what he has to say.
This one, he kind of opened his mouth, ate his foot along with his shoe, maybe a couple of shoelaces and a sock. Charles Barkley suggests Kendrick Perkins is suffering from, get this now, ESPN disease, which I think is the greatest thing ever. Love it.
I'm pretty sure John coined that phrase previously. So
Thank you. I think I did.
You have to go through. We go through the archives of Two Noobs, but I'm pretty sure John's probably said that.
Chuck is stealing my shit.
There you go. Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
It's okay.
Yeah. After Kendrick Perkins alleged a racial bias among NBA MVP voters, oh my, Charles Barkley accused the ESPN analyst of speaking for clicks. Last week, on that wonderful, fantastic morning show called First Take, which really should be Third Take. I'm sorry, Johnny, you okay there? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Denver Nuggets star Nikola Jokic appeared increasingly destined to win his third straight MVP award, which, by the way, he is averaging a triple-double for the top team in the NBA's Western Conference. I mean, he is like playing out of his mind, and he won it, I think, last year, if I'm not mistaken.
He's won it 2 years in a row.
We all think that he
wins
will,
it.
though.
If he wins it this year, it'll be 3 in a row.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah.
Embiid is better,
though. Yeah, just saying. Perkins accused voters of holding a racial bias against the league's black players. Tuesday morning, Perkins and JJ Redick, who we also love on 2 News, we love JJ, got into a heated debate over the topic, with Redick blasting the show for allowing false narratives to be pushed. And we're not going to play the clip, but Redick just took Perkins to task. Yeah, exactly. Following the blow up on First Take, though, Barkley goes on this radio talk show in Denver and says this of Perkins' take. Barkley said, quote, "That's asinine and silly. Asinine, silly, and stupid. Pick one of the words, whatever one you want. One of the things that's silly about ESPN at times, they do this silly debate every year about the MVP, going back to when even I played. They did it a lot with LeBron, which made me laugh too. Derrick Rose won it. He deserved it. KD won it. He deserved it. It's a regular season award. It ain't who the best player is. It's who had the best regular season. But every year, ESPN gets these fools on radio and TV to talk about who's the best player. They have these silly things every year, and it's really just, well, that's the silliness of these morning talk shows." And basically just goes on to rip Perkins basically for having an argument that essentially made 0 sense. 0 sense. Barkley then continued saying, "I always talk about ESPN disease. A lot of these guys, when they get on TV and stuff, they're like, well, I'm on ESPN. I got to say something provocative. And you know, the thing about it, you're always going to get some fools out there. You're probably going to get some fools calling in agreeing with him." And then Barkley finishes and says, "I can promise you this. I've never said anything on television just to get clicks. That doesn't mean I've been right or wrong. Whatever." So, Steve, your thoughts on Barkley bashing Perkins? Rightfully so.
Oh,
What are your
rightfully
thoughts, buddy?
so. I mean, I would
Yeah.
this like I said, I usually like what Kendrick Perkins has to say. He had some good stuff to say when we about the topic we talked about a few weeks ago on the load management. But
Yep.
sometimes I think he's right. You get the ESPN disease and you say something stupid to make yourself look like you're smarter than everybody else, and you're on to it before anyone else. And Chuck's like, no, you're an idiot. And JJ rightfully called him out. And JJ's not always, I mean, I like JJ too, but sometimes he's says some stupid things like, oh, well, Wilt played against plumbers or whatever it was. And he rightfully got called out on that one. That's that, but JJ's on ESPN too, so he's gonna have the ESPN disease if he doesn't already. But he's right. It was stupid what Perkins said. The funniest part about the whole clip was Stephen A. Smith didn't say a word the whole time, which is unusual for him.
Yeah, which is shocking.
Yeah, very unusual. That's right.
Very unusual. Now, don't get me wrong. Stephen A. grates on me a little bit. I do enjoy when he laughs at the Cowboys, though. That's always a good fun.
Yes.
When the camera pans to him and he just breaks out laughing hysterically because the Cowboys lost in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's always a good time.
Great stuff. Hey, Glenn,
but he usually had something to say, and he just kind of let JJ and Perkins go at it.
Yeah, he was frozen.
Unfortunately for Perkins, it just makes him look not good in this.
Yeah,
Chuck's right. It was dumb, stupid. It was clickbait.
Yeah, and a poorly attempt at clickbait. Yeah. To be honest with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know why there was this obsession that Perkins had towards the makeup of the voters of the MVP award. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's always the best player, and I agree with Chuck. It's the best player of the regular season. Right now, that's been Jokic, although Embiid's better. But I mean, to be honest with you, it's just I don't understand it. I don't get it. Why do we have to have clickbait? Is it me, Johnny, just saying like, okay, is it my naivete? Like, why do we always have to have a clickbait on these sports talk shows? Like, why can't ESPN just go back to just replaying SportsCenter back in the 90s? Just replay it all over and over again.
Because that won't draw in the viewers.
It never will.
But it should, darn it.
Look,
they don't.
Yes,
you're right.
He said it.
Right.
He said it. Yeah, it was a stupid thing to say, but he said it. And this is the same thing. This comes right back, all the way back to Will Smith and the Oscar slap. And whether or not it was a work. Whether or not you thought it was right, whether or not you agreed with what he said, whatever you think of it. Now people are going to tune in because, let's see what happens. That's exactly why people do this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Johnny, what do you think in this regard?
For Perkins, it's one bad take out of probably 30 really good takes. I look at Perkins as a person as the same way I look at Bryce Harper. Like, Bryce Harper hits the ball a lot, but every once in a while he looks like he's never played the game for one or two at bats, and you just shake that off and you move on. You know what I mean? It's not like that's not who he is. All right, that was bad. Bad at bat. Okay, move on, kid. Same thing with Perkins. I'm not gonna stop listening to Perkins' opinions because he made one bad one. My problem with it is this is the one that all the networks use all the time because they don't know what else to do. Perkins and the network could have broken it down. Make it about Embiid verse. Who is better? Break it down. Get JJ and him. That's on the producer. No, you let Perkins pull the race card. Nobody respects that because that's all that was. No. It was a quick pull of the card. Oh, the NBA voters are racist because they're all white. Well, yeah, okay. So a majority of the NBA writers are white. Is that a NBA writer problem or is that a NBA MVP problem? I don't understand what does that mean?
Yeah.
When he could have just said, I don't believe the voters are voting for the right person and give me the person that you don't. I'm saying Embiid because I think that Embiid should be in the conversation, but he could have came up with the guy that should be the MVP. Why can't you
Yeah.
debate that? That's actually what people debate.
Yeah.
And let's
No.
get to the real reason people vote Jokic over Embiid. Okay? Nobody liked what the Sixers did
Yeah.
that landed them Embiid in the first place, and the fact
Absolutely.
that he has embraced the process name. You
He
know,
is the
he is the embodiment. He is the process. He is the embodiment of
Yeah.
the tanking that Sam Hinkie implemented.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were writers who absolutely hated it at the time.
Yeah.
And the reason they are voting for Jokic over Embiid, if it's not, you know, stat related or whatever, because advanced analytics nonsense.
Yeah.
Which by the way, Chuck Fletcher has an app to tell you how much James Van Riemsdyk is worth.
And
It's not
I want to
there.
break that phone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If it's not stats, we know what the bias is. It's you hated the process and you're not going to let the guy who is the result of that whole thing win the MVP because then that validates Sam Hinkie's opinion.
Yeah.
That's the real reason the writers are voting against them.
And that happens in every sport. That happens in Hall of Fame voting. That happens in MVP voting. It's happened in every sport. Why not talk about that bias of the sports writer?
Yep. Yep.
No,
Then
you have to
you have to go to the race
You
card.
have to make it stupid and just
Yeah.
pull the race card, and then nobody can have a conversation about it because we're talking about your dumbass. That's
exactly.
pretty much what.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah. It was actually a little bit later on too. I think after the initial outburst by Perkins, First Take, I think later in I think it was the next day, they issued a correction on air to their credit. The host Molly Karam basically made a mention that, you know, Perkins said 80% of NBA's voters for the MVP award are white. They looked into it and they found it's more diverse than what was portrayed by Perkins to begin with. So it was literally like Perkins is just going off. He's just throwing out a number and saying, well, this is totally racist because you got 80%. And it's like they look into it and it's not even close. But that in and of itself is just so incredibly poor. It should not, obviously, it should never matter what the color of a person's skin is or not. It's the product on the court. And I agree with you, John. Really just make the debate about Jokic versus Embiid. Straight up on the court, who's better? Who deserves to win the MVP? Then you've got a segment. Then you've got something that could go for 10, 11 minutes. And you have great back and forth. This guy can shoot. This guy can rebound. This guy can pass. You know, this guy can deliver in the clutch or whatnot. That's the kind of discussion that sports fans need. They don't need something that is this wild conspiracy theory that half the time people just don't want to hear. They want to talk about somebody's athletic ability on a basketball court. My 2 cents. And that's why I have not watched ESPN in at least 7 or 8 years. I can't even recall watching a game on ESPN because of all this utter nonsense that First Take does and Pardon the Interruption does and Around the Horn does. You know, I see it on the bars, but it's like, I don't know what they're talking about, but I know it's garbage. I know it's 100% garbage.
I miss the days when the only real question was whether or not the Sports Center anchors were actually repeating the show or whether it was taped and replayed. You know, that was the more fun debate.
Those were the good old days. Those were the good old days.
We need to bring that back. That's exactly what we need. We need to have that back, I think. All right, guys, here we go. Topic 3, one for the weird file. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. We'll have to see. New York Post article here, gentlemen. Asteroid could barrel into Earth on Valentine's Day 23 years from now. An asteroid the size of an Olympic swimming pool has a small chance of barreling into Earth on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2046. The asteroid named, get this, 2023 DW. Already, I don't like the name because I think we should name it like after like Hurricane, Ida or Hurricane John. Asteroid Steve is barreling into the Earth February 14th, 2046. But it has a 1 in 625 chance of actually slamming into the Earth. The space rock with a 50-meter diameter is at the number 1 spot of the agency's risk list of space objects that have a greater than 0 probability of making impact to Earth. Quick, Bruce Willis, get on the space shuttle, baby. Let's redirect that thing and blow it up. 2023 DW is the only asteroid on the list that scored a 1 on the Torino scale, which is used to categorize the risk of impact to Earth level. All others have 0 ratings. Level 1 indicates that the chance of collision is, quote, extremely unlikely with no cause for public attention or public concern, end quote. And that is according to the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies. There is no ha after that. Not like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Ha. Goes on to say that NASA's been tracking...
They're actually good at their job. So.
Exactly. They're actually good at their job. Yeah, exactly. NASA has been tracking it. Very small chance of impacting Earth 2046. Nothing to worry about here. NASA Asteroid Watch tweeted this, gentlemen, quote, often when new objects are first discovered, it takes several weeks of data to reduce the uncertainties and adequately predict their orbits years into the future. So they are going to continue to monitor the movement of this space rock. Of course, we also had the DART system that actually did successfully, boing, shot a space rock away
with that exact sound.
Boing, kind of like that.
The exact sound they made on impact.
We're watching it on TV, getting closer, boing, boing. Well, that was weird.
That's why it's called One for the Wheel Weird File, Steve. That's exactly right. But since we have a resident physics major with us, Steve, your thoughts. Do you think we're going to be scared out of our minds in 23 years from now with Valentine's Day just being another destruction, or are we safe and sound?
I looked at another article earlier today just to get an idea of if it actually hit, what the problem would be. And they said this, an asteroid of this size is about 2 times as large as the one that hit in Siberia a few years ago.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So if it were to slam into Earth, it could cause damage on probably a city level. You could potentially, I mean, depending on where it hit, you could see something bad along that line, but we're not talking about a global killer here.
Okay.
It's not of that. The one that killed the dinosaurs was 6 miles in diameter, right? So wow, we're way off of that scale at this point. But I'm waiting for John to put his tinfoil hat on about the timing of this announcement. In regards to after we just learned that we could deflect an asteroid using the DART system.
Yes. Boing.
With that noise.
But the other thing is, though, it's, the schedule. Oh, it's Valentine's Day. It sounds an awful lot like the tale of that woman in Ghostbusters 2 who was told by an alien who took her to a room at the Ramada Inn that the world would end on Valentine's Day. So maybe she was ultimately right.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or maybe it was just a spaceship made up to look like a room at the Ramada Inn.
And of course, Marty didn't travel that far into the future either. I think it was 2015. That's right. It was 2015 that
Yeah, Marty's long gone at this point.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Now his kids are roaming. Oh my gosh. Watch out. Johnny, what do you think, bud, of this space rock?
I find it's comical. Like Steve said, like they just learned how to deflect them, and now they're like, this one's gonna hit in 20. Like, aren't we gonna just use the system that we tested out? I love science news because you need it. This is
Yeah,
interesting. This is interesting to
yeah.
learn these things. People like to just learn sometimes. It's not about it's gonna it's not gonna destroy the whole world. Like Steve said, it could hit a
Mhm.
city, but it also could not hit a city because there are tons of city-sized places that don't have cities in them. It could land in the middle
Mhm.
of the ocean. It could land. It depends on. And we're spitting all the
Yeah,
time. We don't know when it's going to actually or where it's
It
going to
could it could
hit,
hit a
yeah.
Chinese weather balloon, you know.
It could hit a Chinese weather
and
balloon,
that could
exactly. It
deflect
could
it, and maybe it would just land on the White House. We
boing.
don't know. Like anything can happen. I, f- I
You
I find it funny that it's a specific date and
yeah,
it's a specific year, and this is going to hit exactly. Is that clickbait or is that not? Like,
yeah.
No, they the science they have, you know, they can
no,
calculate that kind of stuff. That's
they
not
can calculate, but why produce it in 2023? Isn't this something more for 2043? Like,
I guess they don't want to get anybody into a panic mode. NASA doesn't want to, and they have that Torino scale I was mentioning before in
mhm,
the article where it's like, okay, it's at a 1, but it's not really that big of a concern. It's something that they're
it's not a
looking at
concern.
and monitoring.
– well, it's
But at
not
the
like
end
they're
of the
gonna be able
day,
to keep it a secret, like put it in a vault,
yeah,
you know,
No,
so
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly. We're
it's
not
gonna
betting
get
on it.
out. So get ahead of it.
Put it in the filing
Show
cabinet.
Get ahead of it. Show people that you
Yeah,
have the ability to figure this out sufficiently far in advance so that you could use DART to deflect
Yeah.
it. Because
that's
it's
what
you
it.
don't want to be
Yeah,
like you're like, oh, we discovered this. It's gonna hit in 2 days. Oh shit, we don't have time to get a DART
Yeah,
up
that might be a
to
bit of a
point it.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that might be of a problem because then you would have to send up Steve Buscemi and and all the
yes.
guys, Ben Affleck, and all the guys say, "Oh crap, we got to blow this crap up," that kind of a deal.
Right.
I'm not
But
asking
they
for
still
two.
want that
I'm
to
not
happen.
asking for 2 days. What I'm asking for is maybe monitor this thing into maybe the 2030s. Because what if it becomes a zero? Now there's egg all over your face because you were like, "This is
Yeah.
what's possibly going to hit." 7 years later, it's like, well, it decided it was going to go somewhere else.
Well, and then you also have to think about the technology too. I mean, the technology that'll be advanced in 20 years. Think about that, guys. I mean, who knows how far off, like, what we're going to do? We'll probably colonize Mars, that kind
I
of deal.
feel
Well-
good about our science in the next. By the
Yeah.
time this thing hits, I think we're going to have something.
Well,
That can
you know,
help.
you say, oh well, you could find out 5 years from now, and it's no longer it's a zero. It's no longer going to hit. But just the nature of asteroids themselves, it
Yeah.
could encounter a gravitational field from something that we don't know that's in its path. That
It could be a
alters it.
2.
You know, it could be a 2. Yeah. So I mean, it's not. It's this isn't like
Now,
something where you should be embarrassed if in 5 years you determine it's not going to hit.
Yeah.
Its trajectory could change, and it could change
Yeah.
for the better. It could also change for the worse, like you just said, and that would be even worse. So it's better
Yeah.
to know that there's a possibility now and be ready for it. And if we don't have to worry about it, great. But
And
Yeah.
I'd rather know about it now than know about it 2 days from.
yeah, 2
Impact.
days from now. Yeah,
Although-
exactly. Yeah.
Although I'm full of jokes, I do need to say thank you for refunding NASA. Not you, Obama. Thank you for refunding NASA because this is the news we're used to.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say this too. I mean, we did calculate 1 in 625 is 0.0016. If you multiply 100 that is 0.16% chance. Correct on that, Steve, right?
Yes.
0.16% chance that this thing could hit, or 99.84% that it won't. So nothing to see here. It's almost like catching COVID. Nothing to see here.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Yes, it's 0.16. Well, let's take a scenario where you're talking about a global killer, right?
Mhm.
0.16% chance of a global killer is a problem. Because yes, it's a small chance, but what would happen if that were to come true is
Yeah.
disaster. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you always
Yeah.
have to sort of take the percent chance by also the severity.
Yeah.
So, if it's a 50% chance it's going to hit, but it's going to burn up in the atmosphere, then who cares?
Yeah.
It might as well be a 0% chance. But a 0.16% chance of a dinosaur melter. Yeah, that's probably higher than you'd want to be concerned about. But this is a swimming pool size, so we're good.
All right, guys. Well, fourth topic, episode 128 of Two Noobs. I'm always sad when we hit the fourth topic because it's like, oh, I wish we could keep going, but time
You're
comes
the one
to an
who
end,
tells
I
us
guess.
to keep it to an hour, man.
That's
exactly.
true too. Yeah,
It's your fault.
that's true. Well, I don't know. It's collective. Anyway, phillyvoice.com, gentlemen. The Just Born Candy Company, based in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, sadly won't be selling jelly beans this Easter season. What?
That's
How could that be?
Heresy.
Yes, heresy. Exactly. The Lehigh Valley confectioner, who also makes Peeps, which are the greatest.
Yes.
I mean, they are the greatest. Has cited unprecedented demand for its other sweets as the reason for the halts in production. Unbelievable.
Sounds
The
good.
Lehigh Valley confectioner makes Mike and Ike, Hot Tamale, and Goldenberg's peanut chews. So if you eat any one of those particular candies, it's all your fault that I'm not getting jelly beans for Easter. All your fault. And that should be a shame. You should be ashamed of yourselves. The halt is due to an unprecedented demand for some of those other treats, specifically Mike and Ike and Hot Tamale candies, according to the company's customer service department.
I like me some Mike and Ike, so
Yeah.
The Just Born, it's all your faults then, Steve. It's all your fault.
Okay.
Just Born customer service said in an email, quote,
"We're sorry for any disappointment this may cause to our loyal fans, but please know that we're making every effort to ensure that our jelly beans will be back on shelves in the future."
I want them now. I'm complaining.
check eBay.
Um,
No, I don't think jelly beans ever expire. So you probably, if somebody is willing
I
to
don't
sell a
think so.
bag
Yeah,
that's
I
been
don't
sitting
think
around for
so.
5 years, they might find one on eBay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's not an idea. Just Born, actually, guys, was established 100 years ago, relocated from New York City, that cesspool, to Bethlehem in 1932. And then they acquired yeah, exactly. They acquired the Lancaster-based Rhoda Candy Company in 1953. That led to the creation of Peeps, as well as the company's
Nectar of the
Teeny
gods.
Beanie. Yeah, as well as the company's Teeny Beanie Gourmet Jelly Beans, which launched in 1977. Of course, this isn't the first time the production of the jelly bean had been halted at Just Born. It was temporarily suspended
due to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020.
Unbelievable. All hope is not lost, though, for the Just Born jelly bean fans. While new Just Born jelly beans won't roll out this year, some lucky customers have spied stray bags in grocery stores across the region. There are some multi-packs also available for purchase online in Amazon and Walmart. And then, of course, there's also Just Born's latest collaboration, Peeps Marshmallow Flavored Soda, which I think Steve should have a glass of on air next week for 2 days.
That's pushing it too far. That's
Ew.
Marshmallow flavored soda doesn't sound too good. I think that would be a little
Ew.
yeah. But gentlemen, I'm sad that I will not have a fresh bag of jelly beans this Easter. It's been a tradition actually at the Craig household that we do have jelly beans. So I wonder what my mother will be doing for Easter for the jelly bean collection. But kind of got us thinking, like, hard candies. What would be our favorites? We had that kind of a discussion pre-production this week. But
jelly beans aren't hard candies. What are you talking
they're
about?
soft-ish. I guess they are soft. Yeah,
Soft, hard.
soft, hard.
They
Whatever.
hurt if you.
Whatever.
They're soft if you chew them. They're hard if you throw them at somebody.
Which I'm going to do with Steve after this show is over.
I'm gonna put a peanut in your lung. God damn it! You better watch yourself.
Anyway, while we're getting ourselves separated here and spending 2 minutes in the box, Johnny, what do you think of that article there?
It's sad.
Sometimes it goes
and it
through
has
that, yeah.
And it has to do with COVID. They shut it down, and they're making a choice because of other products. I wish we lived in a world, and we don't right now. And this is not a political statement at all, but it is a pure statement of the world we live in. These businesses, these smaller businesses, do not have the capital to get an extra machine to keep this going.
Yeah.
That is the problem, because everybody likes to go to Walmart and Target and buy all the high processed, and they don't deal with the small businesses in the same way. The small businesses can't make all the products. They have to make a choice for their profit line. And I'm not mad at them for it. Like, you got to make what people want because you got to make money. But that is it's a look at society. If you're living in that area and you like those jelly beans, then you might need to give them more of your money, because so they can grow their business and meet the consumer. Obviously, jelly beans weren't on the consumer list. Peeps and other things were. I understand why they did it. It's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's only for this time and it's back next year. I mean, I have a feeling that's what's
I'm
probably
sure it
gonna
is. They
happen.
sound like a good company.
Oh, yeah. Been in business for, I can't believe it's almost 100 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, it's
yeah.
just amazing. Yeah. It makes me wonder, gentlemen, of the three of us, have there been is there a tradition that you guys have, Steve? I'll go to you, where you do have like soft candies during Easter. What do you think there, bud?
Yeah, we fill Easter eggs with jelly beans, the ones
There you go.
that get hid around the house for the kids.
There you go.
I would have taken the news a little better if they had said, "Well, we're not making jelly beans this year because we're dedicating the resources to developing a way to make Peeps stale before, pre-purchase,
Yes.
so that you don't have to slit them open now, so that they're ready to eat by Easter."
Yeah.
So yeah, we get the jelly beans for the eggs, but the Peeps are the big one.
Yeah.
For us, as well as some of the we do. When I was a kid, we got the giant like chocolate peanut butter egg, and so we do the Cadbury cream eggs and all that kind of stuff too.
Oh yeah.
And recently I've been enjoying the Reese's version of that, which is a peanut butter
Interesting.
egg.
Okay.
That's shaped like a Cadbury egg, but has
Yeah.
peanut butter in it instead. And that's
That's
put that in
pretty
the
cool.
freezer.
There you go.
Suck it.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if you guys have seen it in the supermarkets. I saw it at Wegmans. I think it was about a year ago, but they issued Peeps cereal.
I have
I've
seen that
it online.
Yeah.
I've seen it online.
I've seen
I
it
don't
in
know
a
if you
giant.
guys. I don't know if I didn't try it, but it was like, wow. It'd be interesting to have.
Lucky Charms.
You could probably pull it off. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
That's
a
what I thought.
marshmallow-based
It was
cereal. So
probably
yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of those that I just saw. I was just like, oh wow. But I mean, that brand has just been so incredibly successful.
The Peep craze is the memes are hilarious.
Yeah.
The marketing is top notch.
Yeah.
They just I understand why
And it's brilliant.
it's a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
it's a thing.
used to only put out the chicks and the rabbits for Easter.
Yeah.
Then they
Yep.
started doing every holiday. So then you'd get like
Yeah.
ghosts and bats for Halloween and Christmas trees.
wow.
For
I didn't know
Christmas.
that.
Oh
Okay.
Yeah, which is smart.
Yeah.
Smart marketing.
Yeah.
You just keep cranking it out, and it's like, okay, we got a winner here. Why not make it a seasonal candy? Let's make it year round. That kind
Yeah,
of
really.
Yeah. In that
Why
regard.
not?
Yeah.
I still think Easter's their big.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think the other holidays.
I would
are
hope.
the
I
big
don't- yeah, I
ones
don't
for
think-
those Peeps, but
I don't think they're like, oh, we need to ratchet it up for Halloween. It's just more of a novel
Well,
kind of item.
Johnny,
They're not
honestly,
canceling. Well, they're not canceling jelly beans.
no.
You know, I could
But-
understand Easter. They're canceling jelly beans,
And it
because
would
they
be
gotta ramp
hard.
it up.
Yeah, I get your point too with like, with Peeps, you're giving that out at Halloween. That's kind of like they had to have like their own little container. That's just not going to work, in that regard. It's like, especially since you separate them, you know, every card. Well, they
Just a
come in like a
way
batch of 6 or something like that,
if
or,
you're
you know,
if
you
you're
gotta
giving out 6, that's gonna weigh that kid down too. That kid can't get as many houses because he's got
Exactly.
the peeps in there that are
Yeah.
much larger than
Yeah.
fun-sized Snickers.
Plus, you
Yeah.
gotta carry the X-Acto knife to slit them open to get them stale before you
Yeah.
get home. I mean,
Oh,
you
Can
know,
you
yeah, yeah.
imagine?
so you're carrying
Yeah.
around things. The police think you're sticking them in apples. It's not a good look.
Not a good look at all. Exactly. So if you had to, like, guess, the favorite soft candies of the hosts of Two Noobs, what would be we had to close this out, be your top 3 real quick?
Jeez, 3.
Yeah. I think Peeps for sure for me. I think that would probably be for all 3 of us, right? I mean, the
No,
Peeps
no, no, no,
No,
no,
John
no.
No?
John's
No,
a
no,
John's a hater. He's
no,
going to
absolutely
hell.
not. Yep. Nope,
Really?
not happening. Nope, nope,
Wow, okay.
not interested.
Um, interesting. That's
I don't
fascinating.
like marshmallow. I don't like marshmallows
I could see
regularly.
that, but I could see
So
there would be some
I
people that
don't
wouldn't
like
like it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my
Um,
thing.
yeah, I
I
mean,
totally
soft
respect the brand though. Like I'm not hating on the people that like it. Like I
Yeah,
totally get it. I'm just not my thing.
I mean,
yeah.
for gosh sake, they drop a peep like the New York
Yeah.
City ball for New Year's.
Hell yeah. It's genius.
It's almost
They
like a
stole it from
tradition.
my buddy. They stole it from my buddy Giacomo, who during North Bowl's prime, we wanted to have a kids' New Year's, so he literally digitally dropped a tater tot, and that was the most genius thing ever created. So big ups to my boy Giacomo for even coming up with that idea.
Nice.
Yeah, just when in doubt, drop a tater tot as a
There you
ball
go.
for kids.
There you go.
It's genius.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're probably more on the soft candy side then. I think for all 3 of
Yeah,
us,
oh,
maybe.
absolutely. I'm not a hard candy fan at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Never
But
took on for a Werther's guy, so
No, not.
I'm not a
Although-
big
although-
Werther's guy either.
Although, if you handed me one, I don't think I would like be mad about it.
you wouldn't throw it back at somebody's face.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not
I-
that. Well,
I
I'm,
probably
I'm
would go like,
approachable.
Yeah, I probably would go, nah.
I'll eat it later.
Yeah, you pocket it and then you throw it out later.
Yeah. You know, when I was younger, probably a good hard peppermint. You know, I maybe one, but
Or
not more
Rolo.
than-
Rolo would be another one that was kind of like,
We talk Rolos are they're caramel filled chocolates.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's okay.
You might be
And that's
mistaken it for
okay.
something else.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Rolos are good. All right, well,
Hey,
so
go-
Matt, you posed the question. Let's get your
Yeah,
thing.
go for it, Matt.
Oh gosh, yeah, with the soft candies.
Easter cake.
Oh well, definitely jelly beans. That's definitely number 1. I would probably also say the Peeps are definitely in the Craig household as well as a dessert. You know, we have that basically as a nice little treat afterwards. A third one, that's hard because there's not that many that we have in terms of soft candy. We're more like on the milk chocolate side.
That to me is soft candy because it melts in your mouth.
Yeah,
With Andy's
you-
mints?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
After dinner mint,
yeah, but those are.
I mean, we
those are
have
year
that.
round.
Yeah.
Those are year round though.
Yeah, those would be year round. We would have that probably. I think I've seen that. Mom would serve that for an Easter, after dinner mint or something like that. So I'll throw it in there.
Okay.
Why not?
I'll go.
Yeah, but we're mostly jelly bean. There's always jelly beans. There's always Peeps.
all right.
Those two are always,
I'll go
present.
Peeps 1, Cadbury eggs 2, and peanut butter eggs 3.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice. But Johnny, not a fan of the Peeps. That's shocking.
Oh, he's just
Not a
going to
fan.
hell.
I'm not a fan of. Problem is, not a fan of candy at all. Like,
Yeah.
when I was younger,
Okay.
absolutely, like the jelly bean was the move. But my parents used to put the fun size because all I used to eat as a kid, my only candy that I would eat were the Snickers bar. Like
Oh,
I
there you
didn't
go.
like any other candy. It took me into my teens to actually like learn what a Reese's peanut butter cup was. I only liked Snickers when I was younger.
No
I
kidding.
like that peanut. And I'm that way now, where I eat the same thing for a long period of time, and then I quit, and then I eat something new for a long
Well,
period
so
of
you
time.
quit that.
That's just the
and
way
move on.
I've always been that way. So Snicker, like the fun size Snickers, jelly beans. I remember the Peeps, but I wasn't a big fan. Like maybe I'd have one, and that would be like it for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really not much more candy that was when I was just later on, when I was in my 20s, I got into 100 grand, and that's the only candy bar I ate for a long time, almost into my late 30s. That was like the only candy bar that I would ever buy.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But I'm weird. I try a lot of things, but they're like when I eat, like we know with my lunches, we've talked about it. I eat pretty much the same thing every day.
Same thing over and over again. Yeah. There was one bar that I remember that one of my friends really said, it's better than the Snickers bar. And he said, have you ever had a whatchamacallit?
Oh,
and I thought, there you go. Whatchamacallit can make a run at Snickers. But Snickers, I think, is still my all-time favorite. It's close. It's 1A with those two, depending on the mood. I guess you could say.
Oh, I was glad I nicely did away with them early in the tournament we had last year.
You were an overrated one, that's for sure. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it for episode 128 of Two Noobs Talking. It's great to be able to spend time to talk with both of you. It's great to see you, of course, as well. Looking forward to next week with episode 129. We roll on.
Oh, yeah.
Any final words before we get the heck out of here? Nobody has anything? No? Macho? Macho's got nothing?
My voice is giving out, so I'm done.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably got a headache now. All right. Talk to y'all next week, guys. Take care. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Two Noobs Talking. Not only can you listen to our entire catalog here on YouTube, but you can also download us on your favorite podcast listening platforms, such as Apple, Google, and Samsung podcasts, along with iHeartRadio and others. Have a great week, and we look forward to delivering another episode of Two Noobs Talking. Take care.